The Cleveland Indians have a pretty good baseball team, and they've got some pretty good pitching this year. The
next 2-2, another fastball.
It's Glaber Day. Let the Gardy party begin.
About it. Uh-oh, that could be the start of something. The big fella gets hold of one and has a solo homer.
All right, so Garrett Cole did exactly what the Yankees needed him to do, exactly what they're paying him to do. He dominated in Game 1. No walks, 2 runs, 7 innings, 13 strikeouts. That's his highest total as a Yankee. And I've been telling you, he's hitting his stride at the right time. And that's huge, not only for this series, but if the Yankees should advance, now you've got that legitimate ace in the stable, ready to go. And he can pretty much win. You can count on him to win against anybody in this league. I don't care who you put out there, the Dodgers, the Rays. As long as Garrett Cole is on the mound, you've got a chance to win the game. And if he's pitching Game 1, it gives you a really decisive advantage, especially in a 3-game series like we're in right now. Now the Indians have their backs against the wall, and they're facing Masahiro Tanaka, who, let's face it, is an ace in the postseason. And the Indians do not have a great lineup, so Masahiro Tanaka might be able to cut his way through that lineup tonight. The big test for the Yankees tonight is going to be what they can do with Carlos Carrasco. He's a really good pitcher for the Indians, but as we saw, Bieber was a really good pitcher. When this lineup is clicking, I don't think many pitchers have much of a chance because they are so deadly. They work the count, they make you throw pitches, and they hit the ball out of the ballpark, which they did last night 4 times. But back to Masahiro Tanaka. If the Yankees fail to advance past the first round of the postseason, Masahiro Tanaka could be making his final start as a New York Yankee. So let's take a look at his numbers throughout his Yankees career. In 2014, after he signed that 7-year, $155 million contract, he goes 13-5 with a 2.77 ERA. He really started off well. 11-1 with a 1.99 ERA to begin that season. Then he tears his UCL in his right elbow. Typically, that's an injury that requires Tommy John surgery. He chose to rehab, as was recommended by the doctors. And he's basically not missed a ton of time throughout his Yankees career. 24 starts the following year. He was 12-7 with a 3.51 ERA. Followed that up with a really good 2016. He was 14-4 with a 3.07 ERA. In 199 2/3 innings pitched, that's a career high, finished 7th in the Cy Young voting. In 2017, he had the problems with the home run ball. He went 13-12 with a 4.74 ERA, 178 innings pitched, 194 strikeouts, but 35 home runs allowed. He started throwing his breaking balls more, his slider, his split finger, and that seemed to correct some of the problem in 2018. He went 12-6 with a 3.75 ERA in 27 starts. Last year, he throws 182 innings. That's the second most of his career. ERA was a bit up, 4.45. He complained about his splitter because of the seams on the baseball being lower. His splitter was not getting the same kind of depth, and so that led to kind of a higher ERA. This year, he's been throwing the fastball more. He's been up in the zone with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball at times. He's gone 3-3 with a 3.56 ERA, 48 innings, 44 strikeouts, just 9 home runs allowed, just 8 walks allowed, a 1.167 walks and hits per innings pitched. So Masahiro Tanaka's had a very nice Yankees career. The Yankees may choose not to re-sign him because they do have some options that they could go to. They could allocate some of that money towards somebody like Trevor Bauer. I don't know if that's going to happen. But Bauer wants a 1-year deal, so maybe the Yankees, who are kind of against giving out long-term contracts if they don't have to, might choose to maybe pay a little bit more for a 1-year deal. We'll see. But Masahiro Tanaka, in my opinion, deserves to come back to the Yankees, even if it's on a 3 or 4-year contract, because he's been reliable. He takes the ball. He gives you really quality starts in the postseason. His postseason numbers are ridiculous. In 8 career postseason starts, he's got a 1.76 ERA. That's in 46 innings, and that whip, 0.783 whip. That's 4.9 hits per 9 and 2.2 walks per 9. Absolutely phenomenal in the postseason for Masahiro Tanaka, and I'm predicting him to cut through this Indians lineup tonight because they are not a great lineup. And he's a guy who can throw a lot of wicked types of pitches. The Indians are just got done seeing Garrett Cole, who was throwing nothing but heat. Luis Cessa even throwing heat last night. So having somebody who's mixing it up gives them a little bit of a different look. You can count on an adjustment period for the Indians over the first couple of innings. But one thing about Masahiro Tanaka is you can always tell right away if he's going to have a good night. Watch for him if he has a really sharp first inning. If he's hitting his spots early, then he's going to be good. If he's missing his spots, particularly if he walks the leadoff hitter, that's what he hates to do. If he walks the leadoff hitter, maybe gives up a couple of hard hit balls in the first inning, that tells me that hitters are having good swings and that he's not putting the ball where he wants to. So you can usually tell right away with Masahiro Tanaka. And by the way, I'm going to do a watch party for the first 3 innings tonight so that I can watch, how he's doing, and then I'll be back after the game with a post-game discussion on whatever happens. But we'll go through the first 3 innings together and kind of just work it out. But look for good things from Tanaka tonight. I'm projecting the Yankees to finish off the sweep. So it's worth noting that last night, Brett Gardner got the start in left field over Clint Frazier. A lot of people, myself included, thought that Clint Frazier should be the starting left fielder for the postseason, just based on his overall season numbers. I know he finished the year kind of slow, and that Brett Gardner was kind of hot, and Aaron Boone went with a hot hand, and it proved to be the right move. Get a sip of water. So Gardner gets the big double to left field, and then he hits that home run to center field. So obviously swinging the bat well. He's going to be back out there tonight. You don't have to worry about his defense. But Aaron Hicks went 0-for, and you can't just let Frazier sit for multiple days in a row or he's going to get out of his rhythm. That's just not fair to the kid. So I think what you do tonight is you put Brett Gardner in center field and you put Clint Frazier in left field. And I think Clint Frazier's going to have a good night if he plays because he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, right? The Indians drafted Clint Frazier, I think it was 5th overall. And then they dealt him for Andrew Miller a few years back. I believe it was 2016. And so he's got kind of a chip on his shoulder to do well against the team that traded him. Like, hey, I could be starting for you guys. Your offense is terrible. You could have had me. You could have had this. So I feel like Clint Frazier's that type of guy who's going to put on that type of show if he gets the opportunity. So if I'm the Yankees, that's just the way I'm going. I'm sitting Aaron Hicks tonight, even though Aaron Hicks, he works the count well. He draws walks. He had 2 walks last night. He made a nice play in center field. Aaron Hicks is a good player. But the Yankees have just a wealth of outfielders right now. And Aaron Hicks, let's face it, is not hitting very well. He gets on base, so that's important. And he does have some big moments this year. He had that home run late in the game a couple of weeks ago. He had that home run in the postseason last year off of Justin Verlander, so he can do it in the postseason too. So Aaron Hicks is a good player, and he doesn't necessarily deserve to sit, but I think you've got to mix Clint Frazier in there, or he's going to atrophy. You got to keep this guy ready. Now, we saw Aaron Judge hit a home run last night. We saw Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run last night. They both ran into one. That tells me that they're getting close. They didn't look like they were all the way back yet because they weren't having great at-bats. But the fact that they're both going deep in the same game is encouraging. If you remember when the Yankees started off 8-1 this year, they were just dominating. Their lineup was just, you just couldn't pitch to them. And the main reason for that was that you had Judge and Stanton hitting at the same time. You get those 2 guys hitting at the same time, you got to pitch to the other guys. You got to pitch to the Luke Voits. You got to pitch to the DJ LeMahieu's. And Judge and Stanton going deep last night tells me that the Indians are going to have to be careful with them, which means you got to pitch to some of the Yankees' other hot hitters. Luke Voit swinging the bat good right now. DJ LeMahieu obviously swinging the bat very well. He picked up at least 1 or 2 big hits last night. 2 hits, I think. And he's the catalyst. He's the guy that moves runners around and really gets things going. So the fact that Judge and Stanton are starting to build that momentum, Mount Crushmore is rumbling, baby. It's ready to explode. I mentioned yesterday that it could be a Mount Vesuvius ready to explode. Well, Mount Crushmore is ready to explode at this point. The Yankees are going to be unstoppable if Judge and Stanton get hot at the same time in the postseason. And not to mention Gleyber Torres. With Judge and Stanton hitting, you've got to pitch to Gleyber Torres. You can't pitch around him. And we saw last night what he's doing. So look for more good things from Judge and Stanton going forward. All right, so going into tonight, I'm going to do a watch party, as I mentioned, first 3 innings. Then I'm going to turn it off and watch the rest of the game on that TV behind me. And then I'll hop on after the game to kind of talk through for 20 or 30 minutes of what happened during the game. Hopefully it will be celebratory, and I hope that if it is, you'll join me for some champagne. And, shit, I just dropped my water bottle.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps YouTube suggest this channel to other Yankees fans.